once you see, oh damn, I can make $1,000 a day.
Hey, YP, this the one right here. Yes, sir.
Welcome to another episode of Two Dads Named Chad. I'm your host, Chad.
I'm also your host, Chad Jr.
All right, man. What's good?
I see you got your Kelly Green on.
Yeah, man. Definitely got to be rocking the Kelly Green. You know, that's the winning team.
Mm-hmm.
And Philly is on the map as a sports town. You know, nothing but winners, man. Nothing but champions. And you know, it's on that Rocky.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Very impressive season. Super proud to see where, Saquon went this year. There's a little bit of turbulence on the offense side from Hurts, but he, managed to prevail. You know?
Man, definitely Jalen Hurts. Because if you remember last year, we were talking about getting rid of him and Coach Sirianni, and because of what happened at the end of the season, where I think we lost like 5 in a row. It was crazy, man. Still made it to the playoffs. But it was very, very, very stressful on the fans. Of course, it was stressful on them too. But just like anybody that that is a champion, that has the heart of a champion. He stepped into the lab in the off season and evaluated some things, both physically and mentally, and evolved his game. So here we are, Super Bowl bound.
Yeah. And you know what, that kind of, as I'm hearing you talk about him, that kind of makes me think about like how you were able to capitalize on a time where things were emerging, as far as social media goes, TikTok, everything kind of, blew up. 2021, you're seeing hundreds of thousands of views per video, hundreds and thousands of followers.
Millions.
And then you kind of see not necessarily a decline, but it's just this weird rough patch where things kind of start to plateau.
Yeah. Well, that was because, TikTok was evolving, but I wasn't evolving with TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started, I was that OG without a shirt on, flexing his abs, flexing his muscles and whatnot. And I thought that was my claim to fame, the gray haired guy, with the 25-year-old body.
Yeah.
So I still tried to run with that, and that wasn't it. So I had to take a step back and reevaluate the situation and emerge, a champion in this thing called social media.
Yeah.
And that's how you stay, relevant. You got to go back, do a self-evaluation and figure out, what you need to improve upon in order to continue to have that level of success.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I would have never imagined that it would have, been this way. And what it has offered me and my family is the capability of freedom of time.
Yeah.
And freedom of time, man, leads to so many other positive aspects of life, to include health.
Yeah.
And, which is honestly the true wealth. When you own your time, man, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And as a young fella that's, still, having to punch that clock for eight hours, you tell him, man, it's more than 8 hours. All right. You may be on that clock only getting 8 hours of pay, but the time, energy, and effort that goes into even getting up to go to work.
Yeah.
That you're not being paid for.
Right.
Okay. So when folks realize that, you're that it doesn't take an hour to make $20.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then at that point, a light goes off and says, well, wait a minute. I need to be doing my own thing
Yeah.
because I know that, what I'm capable of and what my purpose is. And sitting here at this desk for 8 hours a day, while all my energy and creativity and imagination is being drained to achieve the goals of someone I don't even know. Whether
Mhm.
you're working for the state or you're in the private sector, you're not making yourself rich in
Mhm.
the process.
Yeah. But, the only people that really are able to benefit from, having that 9 to 5 are the people that are, in the higher rank of things.
Oh yeah.
So if you're not aspiring to be that, you know, then you don't really have a place,
Yeah.
as far as, being able to sit with the big dogs
Yeah.
and be able to have that same type of earnings.
Yeah.
Like I work for the state, and so like you can see on the internet, you can go online and look at people's salary, and there's people that are, they're making 100,000 plus, 150,000 plus, 200,000,
Yeah.
and they're not really doing too much.
Yeah, they're not.
And so I think that that's what really made me have to sit down and think, okay, well, even if you did want to make $200,000 a year, right?
Mhm.
Because I think everybody would love to make tons of money. Um,
But
is
not the
is it is
sacrifice of
it
your health.
not at the sacrifice of your health, but also is that something that I would want to be doing for
No.
$200,000? No.
No.
And that's only you can really only come to that realization if you know yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that when you do have freedom of time, or even just that moment in time where you can step back and analyze and really think about things, um, you'll then be able to receive the answers then. And I think that that time when we were working on the album in 2021, it was that moment of time where, I wasn't going to work for, 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And during that time, that was enough time for me to be able to see
This ain't
what it
it.
looks like when you have an abundance of
Yeah.
time.
That was not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what happens is, your spirit begins to revolt
Mm-hmm.
on your physical body, and you become sickened at the thought of having to go to this place where I'm not happy, where my presence dictates, my presence and performance will dictate how I'm able to feed my family, how I'm able to pay my bills. All right, I have to show up to this place
Yeah.
in order to get this money.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we're talking about freedom of time, we're talking about you knowing that you can make the same amount of money or more in just a few hours out of that day, and then you still have the ability to go on and be with your family, be with your child, be with
Mm-hmm.
your, be with your girl, go to the gym, go for a walk, and you're not on someone else's time and it dictating, how your day goes, how
Yeah.
your week goes, how your month goes. And regardless of how much work you do in that 80 hours, those 2 weeks or those 40-hour work weeks, you can bust your hump and you're still not going to get any more money.
Mm-hmm.
You're still not going to get any recognition.
Yeah.
You still may not be able to get a raise. You could still be fired. So you talk about those big dogs, that have put the time in. Well, we're currently witnessing right now those same folks that thought that they had job security, within the federal government, they're not.
Yeah.
They're getting their walking papers.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks are not 26, 27 years old. They're 40 plus years old and
And
have to
then,
figure out a
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
All right. They thought they were tenured into a system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
15,
They
20
thought they
years,
had more
25,
time.
30 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, how does the old guy,
Yeah.
all right, how does the old gal go out there and say, hey, I'd like to go transition into the public sector after I've been working in the government 20 years? I thought I was vested in this, but now
Mm-hmm.
I have to go out and compete with, these superstars out here.
Yeah.
So do you want to find yourself in that position, 10 years from now because you got comfortable and lulled yourself to sleep
Yeah.
in that environment?
No.
You know?
No. And I think that's the beauty of, you know, uh being able to market yourself and profit off of it at the same time. And I think that, like, for what your niche is, um that allows you to tap into yourself even more. And the more that you tap into yourself, the more that you can be secure in the knowledge that no, like I couldn't possibly sacrifice my time,
Yeah.
that what the time that I have, quote unquote, left,
Yeah.
giving it away,
Yeah.
8 hours out of my day. And
Mhm.
it's not even 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really 12 hours.
Minimum.
Because, okay, some people may have a 20-minute commute to work. And then there's those on average that are taking about 30, 45 minutes to
Yeah.
get to work.
Yeah.
Because
Traffic.
if most people that are trying to get to the bag are working in inner cities, Chicago, New York City, Philadelphia, all inner cities, people are
Yeah. Nobody's
where
working in their,
people,
within their communities.
yeah, they have
and
to
getting $150,000
imagine
a
the
year.
police that live an hour, 2 hours away
Because
from
they can't
outside
afford
of
to
the
live.
city.
Because they can't
And so they-
afford to live in the city they
but they're
work in.
patrolling, in the city that they patrol in.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing that because for whatever reason, I'm not gonna list a bunch of reasons why, but a lot of the time, it's a job
Yeah.
that allows them to provide for their family.
Yeah.
And so because of that, essentially, it's out of survival.
Yeah.
It's not really
and you
because
get caught in the cycle of survival.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there is some people that get into a profession because that was their desire whenever they, first got into it. But then after a while they realized, damn, like this is not it. This is not truly fulfilling something that I feel is within me.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but I know for sure that this is not it.
Yeah.
I know for sure that I'm not
Yeah.
being fulfilled
Yeah.
with this.
And let's think about
You
that.
know?
When you're battling, when you're having these inner battles, and the inner voice is going and it's like, this is not it. This is not it. This is not it. There's unhappiness, that is burrowing into your psyche.
Mhm.
And when that happens, you do get sick.
Yeah.
Okay. You get physically sick.
Mhm.
Your immune system takes a hit. Bro, I ain't been sick in years because I've been living in purpose.
Mhm.
All right. And I want folks to think about that. If you're always sick, sniffles, cold, flu, feeling worn down, drained, can't sleep, it's probably because you're not living the life that internally you're supposed to be living.
Yeah.
So it's causing stress on your body. Your cortisol levels are through the roof, but you're not thinking about it. You're thinking it's a germ.
Yeah.
It's not a germ.
Yeah.
Okay. It's your psych. It's your mental. And when your mind ain't right, your body is absolutely not going to be right. And that's what I promote. That's my niche, on TikTok and on social media, promoting health and wellness. But it all starts with the mind.
Yeah.
And we got to get the mind into the game.
Yeah.
And freedom of time is the gateway. Now, with that being said, Chad, you got to think about it like this. Everybody can't do it. Everybody ain't going to do it. But does that mean that you shouldn't do it? Just because we know that everybody can't be their own boss and somebody got to be the worker, right?
The bus driver.
Somebody got to be the axe, right?
Yeah.
Somebody got to be the wood. Somebody got to be the axe.
Mhm.
Which one you going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And somebody going to be the fire.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think Bob Marley speaks of that all the time. Small axe. He's got a song called Small Axe. And I chose to not necessarily be the axe anymore, right? Damn sure wasn't gonna be the wood, but it's the fire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the fire, and they're gonna put that wood into me, and I'm gonna burn harder, hotter, longer because I'm living in purpose. All right, it's the fire that has been lit inside of me that knows that. Once you see, oh damn, I can make $1,000 a day for 5 minutes of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's $30,000 a month, and that's with not even really. That is no grind. That's just doing what I do, so it doesn't deplete me mentally, physically. It's doing what I do.
Yeah.
Right. $30,000 a month. And I know that there's more to come because the money's being printed.
Mhm.
Every day the money is being printed. We can't
Yeah.
sit there and be mad.
It's not like there's not enough money.
It's plenty of money.
Yeah, there's like, people can sit there and say, "Oh, well, everybody's doing it." Yeah.
Yeah, but you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's doing it, but
Everybody's being a doctor. Everybody's being
a social media influencer,
everybody's being a
social
social media
podcaster.
like
right?
And there's room for you too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's definitely room. So think about it. When we first threw up the idea about, podcasting, getting a podcast going, one of the things that kind of, slowed us down was like, damn, man, but everybody's got a podcast. Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, Kai Sennett, all these folks, have these podcasts, right? Anybody can go on Amazon and get a mic. So it's like, well, we didn't want to necessarily jump on the bandwagon and start a podcast, even though we had been thinking about this for years. We just didn't execute.
I mean, but it's like music though.
Yeah.
Like
you're not gonna do music because Future doing music?
Yeah. Like music is just essentially someone's muse, right? And they're projecting it off. And if somebody gravitates to it,
that's it.
Then cool.
It's about how good your music is.
Yeah, yeah. And so everybody has a place, in every industry.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of tapping into yourself and figuring out, okay, well, what is it that I'm going to bring?
What's going to make mine stand out? What's going to make mine,
that will allow me to do this at such a capacity that gives me time, freedom of time.
Freedom of time.
What I mean?
To sit there and talk about your experience, your knowledge, your expertise, and
Someone
get
might
paid
be able to relate.
paid for it in the process, right? So when TikTok was banned for 12 hours, you saw all the haters come out. All the haters was like, well, good, because I was tired of that app anyway, and it was taking all my time from me. And now these people got to go get a job. These people got to go get a job. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
These were small businesses. These were individuals. These were medium-sized businesses that were making more money than they could have ever imagined, having more freedom of time than they could have ever imagined because they tapped into the wave.
Yeah.
And the social media wave isn't going anywhere. It's only going to evolve.
Yeah.
And that's how we started the conversation about Jalen Hurts. Once he evolved his game, he's going to the big game. If you don't evolve your game, you're going to stay the same. And that rhymed. But they were, and I had to get on there, and I don't like putting my finances out in the street, but it shut them up. They said, get a job. Brother, I made more money
more than what I would make
in 2 months than I would make in a year.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I didn't know it was like that. That's because you're stuck. You're stuck in a mental construct that I can only make with this job.
Yeah.
I'm only worth what they're willing to pay me. All right. So I had to show them, and it wasn't bragging.
Yeah.
Trust me. I was like, I'm gonna screenshot this. Like, no, Chad, don't tell them. Don't show them.
Yeah.
Right. No, they need to know and then I start telling other people that I like, that I see out there busting their butt, for a wage. Like, hey man, I think you would be good, getting on this platform and promoting your business or doing this and doing that. And some of them listened, some of them didn't. So we can't help everybody. But what I'm here to say is that when you do decide to evolve, your way of thinking, right? It can open up doors, not just for you, but your family. So generational wealth is not always about money. Right? It's not about how many dollars you have in the bank. It can also be about, it was really about, your health, family, property, assets, things like that. Because when all the money disappears or it's no longer the currency in which we trade with, and you ain't got no family because you were a dickhead.
Yeah.
Okay. And your kids don't like you.
Yeah.
And your grandkids don't mess with you because you're an asshole, because you're self-loathing and you hated yourself. Right. And you were low vibrational and they didn't want to be around you. So now you don't have your family, which is, God damn it, my purpose. All right. It's what drives me. You have no other physical value, things of value, because you didn't build anything.
Yeah.
Because you didn't think it was worth it.
Yeah.
You're sick all the time because you're low vibrational, right? So the true generational wealth is, what we learn, how we grow, how we share with others, how we share with our children, how they end up sharing with their children, the knowledge, and those things. If I'm a gardener, it would be, I would be a fool not to teach my son, how to garden, and you teach your son how to garden.
Yeah.
That's generational wealth.
Yeah.
Right. If I die today and I didn't do anything that I was supposed to do financially, fiscally smart, insurance, a will, then everything I have is going to the bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything to continue that generational wealth.
Yeah.
So
part of that is really sitting down, with your finances.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a time right now where people are spending money excessively in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
In your time and in your parents' time, there wasn't really too much that you could waste money on.
Yeah.
Netflix subscriptions,
It
gym
didn't
memberships
exist.
that they're not using.
Yeah. Those
Just
things didn't exist for them.
yeah, DoorDash subscriptions that they're spending so much
And not
money
even counting.
and not even counting. They're not cooking at home to nourish their own body. People don't even know how to nourish their own body.
Bro, they
but
don't
they know
click
how to
coupons.
but they know how to get up on the dot every single day.
Yeah.
Punch that clock.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's all part of wealth.
Yeah.
You have to know where your wealth is. It starts with making budgets. It starts with, all right, what am I putting in my body?
Yeah.
What am I spending most of my time on?
Yeah.
It's all part of
watching, listening to.
Yeah. It's literally all part of wealth. It's all part of building that wealth, and then that transitions into generational wealth.
Yeah.
If I'm a father, that spends all his time going to the club, whatever the case is, and not pouring into my son, well, what type of wealth am I building for my son and then his future kids?
Yeah,
well,
he's not going to have value of time.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, he's like, well, I saw my dad kind of just kind of trick off his time for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, he has kind of like this the wrong understanding of time.
Yeah.
He thinks that time is supposed to be spent, with no purpose.
Yeah.
And it's cool to do, things every now and then. It's cool to, spend your time doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
But if you're not in a place
you
where
budget your time like you budget, like you would want to budget your money.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and so that's where, when I started getting into day trading, that journey within itself is what showed me that if I can make a killing out of this
in a couple hours a day, in the comfort of your own home.
In the comfort of my own home. Learning a skill.
In pajamas.
Sipping, green tea or something. Then that right there gives me assurance that it's possible. Yeah. It's possible to not have to be a slave to time. Yeah. And, right now, it's almost like that fruit that's just like
low hanging.
You know what I mean?
You got to reach up and get it.
And I think that a lot of people, when I explain to them what trading is to me, most reactions that I get is, oh yeah, I don't really know if I could. And I'm like, you've never seen it with your own eyes, what it truly is. You never read about it. You've never, I'm not the smartest guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I think that I'm pretty intelligent, but I'm not. I'm not Warren Buffett.
But you've always shown from a little kid that you had the ability to grasp things very quickly. You was riding a bike at 3 years old with no training wheels, confidently. You always had an attitude, a mental attitude that I can do this. So I always knew that if I wanted to put some fire under CJ, sometimes I got to say, I don't know if you can do this or not. And I'm going to, I'm going to show you how great I am, in your Ali voice.
Which I wonder, I wonder how a kid is born with something like that. Yeah. Because even with Maverick, I mean, it only snowballed into Maverick too.
It's in the DNA. It just has to be turned. It just has to be turned. Listen, man, it can be turned on or it can be turned off. Mm-hmm. Now, when I was telling you these things as a kid, I wasn't saying you're a dummy, you can't do it. No, I was boosting you up to turn on that DNA. And you do the same thing with him, because the same thing was done to me through my mother, through the men on my block, and even my father. No one ever told me when I was a kid that I wasn't good enough. And that goes a long way. I never said to you, you're not good enough. When you want, when it was time to play a sport, what I'm saying, I was there. I was going to take you to get the best. Before you even made the team, we're going to get you the best equipment. We're going to do that because I wanted you to know that I wanted to invest in you, just like you invest in Maverick. And he has a level of confidence that if you tell him he can't do something, right? Even the other day, man, I told him to be careful because he wanted to not play with the weights. He wanted to lift the weights. He was like, you ain't got to tell me to be careful, bro. I know my feet. I know.
But he's just like me.
Yes.
He's like, don't tell me. Because it's like, as fathers, we don't want to see our kids hurt themselves.
Yes.
But
it's a natural reaction for us to always want to protect them. But sometimes we just need to.
He's not really clumsy. He's not a clumsy kid. He's very like, and so I think that when I see him with that same attitude, it reaffirms me that, hey, you were that same person.
Yes.
Never doubt yourself.
Yep.
Because kids don't lead with doubt.
No.
The only time they lead with doubt is when you instill it in them.
Program them.
So at some point, a lot of people that may be watching this will be thinking, well, dang,
do I do this?
Do I doubt myself?
Yeah.
And if so, why?
And do I do this to my children?
Yeah. And do I do
this to my grandchildren?
And
right.
So yeah.
It's like you're poisoning the well.
Yeah.
For them to drink. And your poison becomes their poison. And it's very important that we're very, the things we say to them becomes their inner voice.
Yeah.
For a very great time. I want you guys to think about when you're having that inner monologue in your mind, that inner voice, whose voice is it?
Yeah.
Right? Is it your voice? But is it the words that came from someone else?
Right.
Whether it's a teacher, a boss, a parent, a cousin, a brother, right? Is that the words that you hear telling you that you're not good enough, you can't do something?
Yeah.
And is that your motivation? Or are you currently using your own words through affirmation, through a positive affirmation, to affirm to yourself, I can do this? That's what I do nowadays, but I can tell you I didn't always do that. A lot of my fuel came from resentment, right? Which is poison to the mind. A lot of my fuel that made me do things or stay in certain situations, whether it was a relationship, marriage, a job, staying there because it was like, I can't quit because someone's going to say I'm a quitter or I'm a loser.
Or right? you're going to fail. And what else is there for you?
I told you so.
Yeah.
And we have to think about that because, you're not here alone. And what I mean by that is your inner being has the blueprint for your success. But if you're so fueled with fear, resentment, things like that, then you're going to drown out that your inner being's voice. And that inner being has the ultimate navigation for where your life is supposed to go. So, when you're telling people about the day trading and they say, oh, I don't know, they're hemming and hawing on it, that's fear. Can you sense that in them?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like it's fear. And they always look at it as, the first thing that they say is, I feel like I would end up losing a lot of money. And it's like
the mindset of lack and loss.
It's
keep you poor.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it's an option.
It's not gambling.
It's not gambling either.
Yeah.
But it's an option for you. I'm not saying that this is the holy grail and this is the cheat sheet. This is the 1, 2, 3 get rich quick scheme. It's not that.
If I told you that, then you would be scamming them.
But yeah, if I told you that, then exactly.
I'm lying.
You know what I mean? So yes, there's a risk to everything now.
Everything.
I'm not telling you that this is smooth landing. It was not smooth. It was not a smooth takeoff for me at all. And so with that being said, I mean, it takes time. Anything that is long lasting takes time, but you have to be willing to take that
Yeah,
time.
man.
But the only way that you can take that time
Is if you
is
start.
if you start and be willing to free yourself up from other things that are taking up your time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, quite literally, most people are spending their time in ways that is excessive
Yeah. On your phone.
on their phone.
Yeah.
So, for example, most people,
If you're on your phone just watching TikTok, then you are you're a spectator in
the
a
spectator,
sport.
yeah,
If you're not looking at your phone as if you're on your phone and look at your screen time,
yeah,
and you've spent 3 hours a day just on your phone
Yeah.
on two apps,
It's like-
traversing
right.
back and forth
Yeah.
from Instagram to TikTok to Facebook, right?
Mhm.
And you didn't make any money.
yeah. Yeah, and this is mainly so. This I'm not talking to the people that truly want to just live their
Yeah.
life, do what they want to do.
Mhm.
You do you, right?
Do your
But this
thing.
is for the people that complain or feel like they're not doing enough in life.
Yeah.
But those are their statistics.
Yeah.
If you're that person that's like, man, I want to be like them, or I want to make money. I don't want to work in my job anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is. Okay,
You gotta look
you've
at-
said
you
it.
gotta look at your
but
time.
now, okay, look at your time, because that's where it starts. It's just like budgeting.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I feel like I'm spending too much money. So the first thing that most people do, well, I'm not gonna say most people, but I would say a good amount of people do, is they review their budget,
Yeah.
their spending. Okay, how much money am I making a month? And where's all of my money
Yeah.
going?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with time.
Mhm.
Okay, how much time am I spending throughout the month? Well, 160 hours of that time
Is that
is
a
going
job?
towards a job. All right, and so how much time is left in that month, and what am I doing with that time?
Yeah. Well, and it's just like health and fitness, right?
Yeah.
If you're overweight, or you have a health concern, but you put in 8 hours a day at your job, which we know is really 12 hours because of
It's
getting
12.
ready, commuting, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's still 12 hours
Yeah,
left.
and you also got to count that Saturday, that Sunday
Yeah,
as well, because that
preparing to
Sunday
go
is
back
not
to work.
It's not really a 5-day work week and a 2-day weekend.
No.
It's more like you work 5 days and then you kind of have that break on that Saturday, but then you're mentally preparing yourself to go back on Sunday.
Yeah.
The moment that you are laying down on Saturday, you're already thinking, dang, the moment that I wake up tomorrow, I already have to get my things in order for Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So if we say it's the 12-hour grind, but you've got this health issue that has you too tired to spend any other time doing anything else, but you can't seem to carve out 30 minutes to exercise, whether it's just going on a long brisk walk or, it's committing to doing, 3 sets of this, 15 reps of that, 4 or 5 times just to get the blood flowing, then you're your own, worst enemy when it comes to creating, that value in your life, creating that time in your life. Because if you don't start with taking care of yourself and your own health, then they can't even see past what you're trying to impart on them.
Yeah.
They're tired, man. They're tired. And they're caught in a cycle of fatigue, mental and physical. So the first thing they're thinking about when they do come home from those 12 hours is getting up out of them clothes, sitting in front of that TV, eating that food, going to sleep, doing it all over again, so they have to eventually, like you said, they got to look at that time. They got to look at that money that they're spending. Once you see it, it can't be unseen.
Yeah.
Once you come to the realization, that, damn, I'm really spending $200 a month on DoorDash fees. All right, hold on. But the meals were only $60.
Yeah.
But because hear me out. A lot of people don't like that L word. I was too lazy to get up and go to the Chick-fil-A, go to the McDonald's, wherever you're getting your food from, Chili's, and get it myself, because I wanted to just vegetate here in my place of peace, because I've already been out the house all day long. It's a dangerous precedence. And there are companies, so we talk about people thinking about outside the box, that are now able to take advantage of.
They're like, well,
shit, I'm gonna create a business.
Yeah.
that brings food to people
Mm-hmm.
as if it never existed.
Yeah.
When I was a young boy, you order a pizza, they deliver to your house. The fee was like $2.
Yeah.
And that included $1 tip.
Yeah.
It was $1.50 delivery fee, and you tip them $1 for
Yeah.
a pizza. That was just it, man.
Right. And I'm not saying that, there's a benefit to
It
those
is.
services.
It is.
But when you make it your normal,
But if you're not making no money already, these are
Yeah,
services that people that have money
and then
use,
it's like,
so
okay.
that way they are able
Yeah,
to
I'm not
have
talking
more
to the
time.
to the consumer that is able to take advantage of it, and it's not
because
dinging
they
their
have
pockets.
they have more time
Yeah.
on the back end
Yeah.
to make more money.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any money
Yeah.
and you're using these resources, then you
It's
gotta
like-
take a look at
yeah.
it. Of course, folks that have money, they're doing whatever the food delivery services are with their groceries. They have a reoccurring list
Yeah.
that they just hit submit on, and
Yeah.
the food gets to them, because guess what?
They've
If they had
tapped
to go
into-
to the
yeah.
supermarket and they had to go spend 30 minutes getting there, it's 20 minutes getting there,
Yeah, that's
fighting through
time that they
traffic.
don't have to.
No.
Yeah,
They can
So,
make money.
That's where it's like, okay, all right, what side of the fence are you on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if you're someone who you're like, well, my schedule's pretty booked, so this service is this service is very useful to me, so that way I don't have to take time out of my day, but to pour into other stuff.
Yeah.
But then like you have that consumer that is just like laying on the couch watching that movie.
Yeah.
And it's a typical thing. They're like,
Yeah. Yes.
I don't have anything in my fridge. Well, I guess I'll.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, when are you going to start taking the time to take back your life and not be that bot?
Yeah.
That is just kind of sacrificing yourself to the system of, we want to keep these people lazy.
Yeah.
We want to keep them in the house. We want to keep them lazy.
Not moving.
Yeah. At all.
So now you have a health issue.
Yeah. So now you have a health issue.
You suffer from chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now
I'm always tired.
So now this system that you use to go get your food becomes the only way that you can get your food, because you're always too damn tired. And that is the cycle that folks have to learn how to break.
Or I don't feel like it. And it's like,
So it's all about reclaiming your time. Time is a precious commodity that you can never get back, right? If you spent 10 years of your life complaining about what you don't have, instead of figuring out how to get it, then you got to really take a look at, damn, I could have arrived at this point now
in such a shorter time.
Yeah, in
like
short
if we're
time.
talking about 10 years, they could have provoked the thought and then manifested it within I would say even like a 3-year period.
Yes. Like,
you know what I mean?
and like
So
you said,
it's
man,
like-
that's provoked the thought. And when you provoke that thought, it becomes the manifestation that's in process.
Yeah.
And once you put it out there, once you launch that rocket of desire of something that you want, it's out there. Okay. And it will always come back and visit you in the form of a thought. Like, damn, I remember when we were talking about doing that thing, a few months ago. Maybe I need to re-engage that. How many times have you re-engaged trading, right? How many times have I re-engaged the thought of online personal training, right? And in between those times, we've witnessed people get the bag based on the same thought that we had, but we lacked the execution of the thought.
And I would say that in 2022, when I had lost my job with the it was like the fiber gig that I had. Before I had lost that job, I was spending 14 hours out of my day in that job.
Yes.
So I would get up at on Mondays, I get up at 6, and run and go drop Maverick off in the opposite direction, and then come back and get the truck and get back to the warehouse at 7 a.m. And then be on the road all day driving around. And then I got to go back and pick Maverick up before 6 p.m. An hour away. And then we get home by 6:37. So the whole day whoosh,
Yeah.
gone.
But
So when I lost the job,
mm,
I wasn't really bummed out. I wasn't.
mm,
The reason why is because all that did for me
that's what I was
was
going to ask you. What did it do for you?
provoke the thought, okay, well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Until the job, you can apply for jobs and stuff, but that's the cycle within itself.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do outside of the cycle?
Yeah.
What can you do that will add a skill to the tool belt? And the first thing I thought was, well, maybe I need to get back into the day trading space.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it in 2020 a little bit. Like me and Diedrich, my best friend, he was the one who brought it to me. Like, hey man, it's this thing called foreign exchange trading. Like, I want to show you what it is. Yada yada yada. Tried it, and me being young and just like not understanding how money works, we were treating it like gambling. Oh, it's going up, buy. Oh, it's going down, sell.
Yeah.
And so we weren't really taking it serious.
Yeah. Didn't know the science.
Didn't know
of it.
and so
You were a brawler.
the fundamentals, the technical. Yeah, it was just going in, punching stuff.
Yeah.
But like boxing, it's not about just punching and swinging.
Sweet science.
It's about being able to manage, fatigue, manage all that stuff. And so got to be able to analyze your opponent, and go the distance.
Yeah.
And
your opponent,
you don't have to knock things out within the first round.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to knock your opponent out within the first round. So then in 2021, once again, when I took that leap of faith and decided to go the self-employed route with the content creation stuff, because by that time you were already on path with TikTok. You had already reached like well over hundreds of thousands of followers. And so from there, we had already created the album, all those things. And so me being who I am, jack of all trades, master of none, I was like, well, I haven't done the trading thing since 2020. I have all this time. Now's the perfect time, being a father to this little one. And I'm, at home most of the time working on, the content creation stuff. This is something that I can also be doing in my spare time as well. Yeah. Because if not, I'm gonna be playing video games, chilling. Yeah. And that doesn't make me no money unless you're doing the Kai Cenat route.
Exactly. You're streaming or what's the
and I was
you
trying
were
to.
That was another option.
And that was
If you're sitting there playing video games, why aren't you streaming it on
if that's something that you're passionate about,
why aren't you doing it?
Like,
you've got what's the music artist name?
T-Pain.
T-Pain. They asked T-Pain like why aren't you on tour? Why aren't you making no movies? He said, man, I'm making $600,000 a month live streaming, doing the things that I love doing. Why would I do that? Yeah. I can always make music because I'm an artist.
Right. Find a way to monetize the things that you love.
Now let me go back to when you were working at the fiber company, fiber installation. What else did you learn?
Oh man, I mean, I learned a lot of things that it may not be exactly that, but like for example, most of my job, I was running cables through walls. I was in a way working with other clients to kind of I wouldn't know how to
this is what I'm getting at. What did you see that changed your mind?
Typically I had about 6 jobs throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say on average about 3 out of those 6 jobs would be somebody who has an abundance of time. What I mean by that is they work from home. Mm-hmm. They have their computer set up. They got the triple monitors. They got their own. Most of the time, I would know that they're big boss because they would have their own server rack. Yeah. So when I would come in, like, oh, do you need no, I don't need the router. I just need the modem. I'm like, what does he do? And this guy,
as you pass the Porsche GT3,
as I'm passing the Porsche GT3 in the garage, and the Rolls Royce is out back. Oh, let me not forget, the guy that I was talking to wasn't actually the client himself. It was his manager,
his assistant.
So I'm seeing these things, or I would go into like a high rise downtown Austin. Yeah. 22nd floor, looking at the river. Yeah. And when I would walk in, I'm just looking around, and I'm this technician with these big heavy boots. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, man, like what do I like? And I would ask that question. I wouldn't be afraid to ask the question. I'm like, what do you do? How did you get to this point? As a matter of fact, that's what actually got me into trading the third time around. Because I did in 2020, 2021, and then I stopped in 2022. Yeah. Actually, hold on. Let me think. Oh yeah, 2022 I didn't do it at all. And then 2023, that's when I lost my job in like March. And right before that, went to a guy's house and he had the news on the TV. He had a very nice 2-story house. Like it wasn't nothing crazy, but it was realistic enough for me to see that, okay,
this can be
even
mine.
just what he's doing is allowing him to furnish his wife's, lifestyle, which I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's not like she had Birkin bags or nothing like that, but furnished lifestyle as far as being able to thrive in her, her femininity, right? And be able to be a wife, right? And not be that tired wife that's working and coming home and she can't be that wife, she can't provide, any sort of romance, to you. And obviously, that's what a man would want, that desires, but if your wife is tired, then at that point,
and if anybody's tired, not to sound misogynistic or anything, but if anybody's tired because of your grind,
on the flip side,
it takes away from the life.
Right, the man can't, he comes home and he's too tired, and she wants to, to watch a movie with the popcorn because and you're just like, I don't even feel like doing that because I'm just tired. I just want to chill. Yeah. And so, but anyways,
this shit leads to ED.
Right, exactly, exactly. So
stress.
But to get back on, like the point that I was making is, just being in environments like that provoked the thought for me of
every day you would send me a picture.
I was always seeing stuff like, look at this dude,
and I would be like, you can be that guy.
Yeah, I remember. And so it would be like this eye opener for me. Yeah. And this guy that like I said, this guy that I had went to his house, he had the computer set up with the multiple screens. Yeah. And I'm looking at his stuff and I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I trade the stock market. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, I need to talk to this guy because this is what I like. But it's just that I
came here for a reason.
Yeah. And so it was just like, okay, like, can you tell me a little bit about it? And so that right there was an eye opener moment for me, because when I lost my job, the first thing I thought was, well, I better get on that day trading thing that I saw that guy doing, because obviously that's allowing him to be at home.
Sure is.
And it's allowing him to be comfortable, comfortable enough to where he's not stressing about, okay, well, how can I make sure that I'm able to manage, my finances without, breaking the bank and
and that does it. And let me tell you, man, it's a game changer. I was telling a friend of mine yesterday, as I was putting him on to the game, the social media game and the affiliate game. And I said, man, for a fact that when you go out, take your family out to dinner, your kids especially, and they're ordering off the menu, and you're like all tensed up because your budget, but they don't, right? It's a game changer. I'm not sitting there saying that we just throw away money now that we have it. What I'm saying is that now you can just remove that level of stress, that mental stress that comes along with, well, if I buy, like you're always doing that financial gymnastics. If I buy this, am I going to have enough money for gas for later on in the week? My kids really want it. I want them to be happy, but how much food do I have in the refrigerator? Like you're doing all these inventories and stuff, right?
I've definitely been there.
So the thing is, when you had that job installing fiber, it puts you into a proximity of seeing the things that you now know are possible if you just decided to, grow that, grow that thought. And I think that's for everyone, but a lot of people don't realize that every day of their life, they're encountering something for a reason. They're encountering, a breadcrumb, in the, what's the book called? The Alchemist. He would encounter different things that would reassure him that he's on the path. But sometimes when we're so, we're so stressed out, we don't see these breadcrumbs. We don't see these signs in the road, so to speak, that are leading us to our ultimate destiny, to our purpose, to our to fulfilling our personal legend, right? So that job that you had, although at a glance it may have sucked. I was in the Army for 22 years. At a glance, it would suck. Cece, your sister asked me, Dad, what are some of the fondest moments that you have from your time in the military? Because she has a friend that's in the Navy now. And I had to think. And I said, Cece, let me tell you, all of those moments all of those good moments were typically intertwined with another moment that sucked.
Yeah.
Okay. It all went together. All right. But what I do know is that had I not, done that time in the military, it would not have shown me, or led me to the place where I am today. Sometimes we got to encounter and experience the things that we don't want to do to determine, do we want to be the axe, the wood, or the fire? Right? I want to be the fire, man. Okay, not fireman. I don't want to be a fireman. I want to be the fire, and I want to burn hot with purpose.
Yeah.
With everything I do. So, you're 20, going on 26 years old, and you've experienced a lot in those 26 years. Young father, and I always had to remind, like, bro, this was the greatest gift you could have ever received. Because when you do have a child, especially at a young age, it can do one or two things, make or break you. All right. But what it did for you is it defined your purpose. Number one, it gave you the title, Dad. Ooh, man, nothing better that except for granddad.
Yeah.
Granddad is the ultimate.
Yeah.
That's leveling up right there. All right. Especially if you're a granddad that gets to partake in your grandchildren's, life and watch them grow. And you're watching them grow from the fruit from the seeds that you sowed.
Right.
So when you got the title Dad, a switch had to flip. He was like, I have to boss up.
Yeah.
Because this little dude is depending on me. And that's pressure.
Yeah. I didn't have time to fumble because as I'm getting older, so is he.
Yeah.
And his needs are going to change drastically and dramatically year after year after year. And now he'll be 5 in April, and his needs will be significantly very different than what
yours were. Yeah.
Not only that, but just what they have been the last 4 years. The last 4 years is just kind of been like, okay, like, all right, he's a kid, toddler. But now
this dude has his own thought process.
He has his own thought process, his own
guidance,
things that he wants to do. And it's like if I'm not able to furnish that for him, he's not gonna look at me as, oh, you're a terrible dad.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I know that he won't be getting all the things that he needs to truly be evolving as a young boy.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to do that, for him, and on top of that, being able to do that for him and have
effortlessly
freedom of time.
Yeah, effortlessly
would be like the most phenomenal experience as a young dad that I see a lot of people on social media that I follow doing.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a day trader that I like to follow, his name is Lambo Raul. And Lambo Raul is the founder of the day trading institution. He was one of the top proprietary firm traders, being able to withdraw over $100,000 from it was at the time, it was actually, I don't remember the company, but at the time they were like one of the only proprietary firms during that time.
Yeah.
And he was one of the top earning traders.
Yeah.
So him being able to do that and then spin off and then make his own day trading institution where he's selling the courses, doing all these things. Lambo Raul was only 26, 27.
Yeah.
And he's been doing this since he was like 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care the detail as far as how long he's been doing it doesn't matter.
That doesn't put you on his timeline.
Right. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is that he's also a father like me.
Yeah.
I want to say he has 2 kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know he has 1.
Yeah.
And the guy is he's also married. You know, he's married to the mother, you know, the his
Yeah.
children's mom, and seeing him
It's
be able
inspiring.
to do it effortlessly,
It's
you know,
inspiring.
it's super inspiring because I can just see the happiness on
Yeah.
his face that he's like, man,
Yeah.
like at such a young age, I'm able to do a lot of the things that
Yeah.
my father was doing at a later age, a
Exactly.
lot sooner.
Yeah. And nothing against
And
his father.
no,
Different
no, his father's
experiences,
super.
right?
His father's very successful as
But it
well.
may have came
but
later,
it
right?
came
So
later.
let's think about that.
Yeah.
You know, things that, you know, come later to me as generational wealth should come sooner to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I learned something at 40, you should be learning it at 20. We should be advancing, you know, at a generational rate. That generational wealth, generational rate. You got something at 20, and we're not talking about physical, monetary stuff.
No.
We're talking about mental skills. You got at 20, Maverick should be born with it. He should come into when you communicate with him, you should be communicating to him in a way to how, you know, I began to communicate with you at 20, right? You know, when you were a young bull, you know, 5 years old, is I'm gonna beat your ass, right?
Yeah.
That's how I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Why?
And
Because time. I didn't have freedom of time.
Yeah.
I'm under stress. Boy, you better hurry me get ready. I'm gonna beat your ass.
And I'm not gonna lie, his level of comprehension scares me sometimes because when you talk to him and he asks a question, you answer, he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
and you're like,
he's building a database.
"Are you 5 or are you 15?"
He's building a database.
He's super advanced.
Okay.
And so I do have those conversations where when I break things down to him, I know that he's storing the information.
It's not just no because I said so.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm your parent. Better seen, you know, children are better seen and not heard.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I grew up, you know, that was the dialogue. There was no dialogue. Because I said so, you're a child, I'm an adult. Right. But we know now in the age of, you know, information and technology and stuff like that, that's not going to fly
Right.
with generation alpha and beta. All right. So we have to, and the thing is, as I become older and you become older, we need them to be on game because I have, you know, I have a on good authority that generations will need to be living in with each other.
Right.
Okay, because what's going on currently in the world is not going to, you know, you being in this state or this city and your parents are older and things like, we have to build generational wealth and maintain it within our community, our family, our trust. All right, because it's too much that's being wasted by you trying to go out there and prove something to me. Okay. By Maverick going out there, and now we got our own paths in life, but we got to keep family close. We can't fall apart because you know you're mad at me for some shit that happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's never been resolved. So now your inner
communication is just disrupted.
Your inner
and
child
nobody's
is now,
sharing the generational knowledge.
Yeah, your inner child is now dictating, you know, the future of our DNA. Your inner child is now dictating the future of our DNA because you went on unhealed. I went on unhealed. I die unhealed. And now you're left here with resentment. Like I couldn't even cuss this motherfucker out because he's gone now. Right. You know, but that's how people are living, man. And as they're getting older, they're now suffering from things like anxiety. And the reason why they're older and suffering with anxiety is because they've cut their inner being off completely.
Yeah.
And their inner being's been trying to tell them, man, you need to heal from this. You need to heal from this. You need to heal from this. But they're not listening because they can't. The anxiety's drowning it out. The depression is drowning it out.
Yeah.
So we had to have those conversations, mano y mano, man to man. Okay, because I want you to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I want your child, my grandson, you know, to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? We're not supposed to come out of a state of poverty. My grandfather grew up in the Great Depression. His family had everything, and it was all lost by the time he was 5 due to the Great Depression. But my grandfather worked his way out of those circumstances. He didn't live in poverty as an adult, but he lived in a state of mental poverty because he always felt like he was going to lose everything because of what he experienced as a young child. So he wouldn't spend no money. He wouldn't even spend money to enjoy his own life. And he died, without with unfulfilled man, out of fear, anxiety, was on all sorts of medications. And that stuff gets passed down to generation and generation. So then my mother becomes this frugal, very frugal person, always telling her kids, don't spend no money, don't spend no money. Right. And I'm not even understanding why, but you tell me I don't do something. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna live my life. Okay. Because I'm not witnessing you live your life because you're afraid to spend a nickel.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna live my life. And because I adopted that mindset, it caused me a great deal of financial stress at a younger age, because I thought that I had to get this stuff sooner. I had to have the Corvette, the big house, all those things, because I didn't know that, I could have it all through my life.
Yeah.
I had to rush and
get it now.
Got to get it now.
While I have this so-called success that I'm currently at,
thinking that it was going to
was
disappear.
Yeah.
Because of the mindset of my grandfather, the mindset of my mother. Okay.
And they also served as like a, we did things like that for it to serve as like a token.
Yeah.
That, okay, this is a measurement of my success.
Yeah.
But now, we've both had conversations like, man, look, we could capitalize on a $50,000 month. And that doesn't mean that we go out and buy that Harley that we always talk about. No. Because we know that
what am I fulfilling in this?
Yeah,
inner child,
inner child, a want, not a necessity. And granted, cool, fulfill your wants and stuff, but
that thing gonna sit in the garage.
It doesn't. Like it'll come, right? But when you're on purpose, those are things that we know don't truly serve as the measurement of success. They don't. What serves as a measurement of success is my son being able to not have to go out there and figure out the same things that I already figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we done drove, all the work my grandfather did in 3 generations, drove the DNA back into poverty.
Yeah. It's like we should have already known how to be able to navigate through that. But because nobody was sharing it, it was like.
So it's like, I got the vet, you got the Lambo, Maverick's back on the bus.
Yeah. Like, how the hell did that happen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Think about that. I got the Corvette because I'm balling out of control. You get the Lambo because you're following in my footsteps, but nobody's teaching you how to preserve this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding.
And I was on that path.
You were.
And I was. And I was on that path.
2 cars, 2 motorcycles, all by the age of 22 years old.
1 elephant and 3 musketeers.
That's it. You had all these things because you didn't think that you would be able to get them at a later time in life. It all had to be done right then and there. And the stress to get it and then keep it became the elephant in the room. Like every day it's like, damn, how am I gonna make this payment? Right. Or I gotta sell this, or I gotta sell that. Yeah. So it got to the point that,
and it was all during the youngest part of my 20s, and so here I am, and quote unquote, going on to the other half of it.
And it happened during a time frame when me and you were at odds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that all that did
no knowledge being shared.
Yeah.
No knowledge being shared. So let's, and I think a lot of people can look at their life in the same way, that a lot of the mistakes that they made came when they lacked communication with their elders.
Right.
Whoever your elder is, aunt, uncle, grandparent, or when I say lack, not because necessarily y'all weren't talking, because of a dispute, but because there was just no discourse being shared from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about the pain and the mental things that they experienced, because people hide their emotions. People hide their mental insecurities. They don't tell their child that they're having a hard time. And I just want you, because they don't want to put that baggage on their child.
Yeah.
All right. And I've been there. So we hide in rooms and we cry in silence. And then when we come out, our kids never know that we're experiencing a bad day. So how do we prepare them to experience a bad day?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, man, look, we could talk all day about this because it's such a deep and profound, topic. I think, our isn't enough, because I mean, this has to be expanded into a open forum of question and answer, and people sharing, their experiences. So just our podcast is not enough.
Yeah.
The value of time and freedom of
That's
time
man.
is a book. It's a series, because people need to know more about how to get out of the cycle that they're in, where they're giving their time away
Yeah.
to things that don't, necessarily give anything back. So I mean, hey, my final thing is, like I said, ask yourself the question, do you want to be the axe? Do you want to be the wood? Or do you want to be the fire? And if you don't know what that what that really means, just think about it. What does the axe do? The axe is constantly working to split that wood. Okay. So the wood ain't the wood. You definitely don't want to be the wood. You're getting beat up.
Yeah.
The axe is constantly working, but the fire is the recipient of that wood to keep on burning. The fire don't have to do nothing but continue to blaze hot and get that energy from those other two elements out there, the axe and the wood.
Yeah.
I'm the fire. All right. I want y'all to say it with me. Say, I am the fire. Right? What you got?
We good.
Good.
That's it. Yeah.
Right, man.